This video is brought to you by Atlas VPN. Hey noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Let me tell you about my morning today. So here I am, having my morning coffee, starting to get breakfast, everything as usual. It looks like a normal day. But then it came to me, the idea. You know, I'm having breakfast, it's a little boring, maybe I can entertain myself and find a couple of articles on the medieval period on cracked.com just for laughs. I'm not gonna make a video about it, I'm not gonna make another video about it. I mean, the noble ones already got it all. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna make another. The only situation in which I would make another video about this would be if I were to find a few articles that say things that are even more stupid than the stuff I've already covered. But that's not what happened, right? Right? From the article 5 Realities of Medieval Warfare Hollywood refuses to learn, and if they refuse to learn it, we need to make sure that Cracked is gonna crack it into their skull. Let's do it. Point number 3, swords were in the end-all be-all of medieval weaponry. From He-Man to Conan to Wonder Woman, swords are everyone's go-to ultimate weapon. This all obviously stems from the original superblade, King Arthur's Excalibur. The problem though is that swords weren't quite as singular the weapon in the Middle Ages as you might think. So far you say? Not too bad, right? Let's start with the fact that like everything else about knights, swords were expensive. True. While you run off-the-mill man-at-arms might get one in a war, swords were, for long stretches of time, a symbol of nobility. They were status symbols, like owning a jaguar. So this is a little soft nitpick and nothing compared to what I'm about to read in the next paragraph. But just to make it clear, first, so already this idea that the knight is the rich one, but men-at-arms are like these peasant soldier militia like the Bretonians in Warhammer is incorrect. A lot of the knights we see in medieval iconography are actually men-at-arms. Comparing the price of a sword to that of a modern like jaguar, swords, yes, they were expensive, but this is exaggerating, and unless we're talking about a sword that is actually gilded, like with actual gold on the hilt and precious stones in it, it's exaggerating. But let me continue, you'll see, you will see. Metatron, it's not too bad. Okay, wait. Even when knights did start swinging swords, it wasn't like the movies. Skill and technique, rather than size and strength, decided the outcomes. Oh come on Metatron, they are saying it right, this is correct, so why do you have a problem with this? Oh ye of little faith. Keep this statement in mind, because yes, this is correct, but keep in mind that they said that. Sword fighting was essentially a medieval martial arts. Fight masters from the 14th to the 17th century wrote and illustrated entire manuals. Here is the kicker. Swords were meant for stabbing, not slashing. Where is the frog mouth? First they tell you something correct, to build your trust, and then they have to say a statement that is completely wrong. This is such a generalized statement saying swords were meant for stabbing, not slashing, and also for smashing guys in the helmet with the hilt. First, it depends what sword you're talking about. Of course, if you had said swords such as the tuck or stocco, but using such a general statement and saying swords were meant for stabbing, not slashing, as a way to debunk a myth that Hollywood just doesn't get in their heads, is moronic at a monumental level. There are swords and swords. You cannot tell me that a sword like a falchion is meant only for stabbing. The majority of medieval swords had both slashing and stabbing in mind. This isn't the punchline. Everything was a lot closer and a lot more brutal. Think less fencing and more boxing with giant knives. I need to read that again. Think less fencing and more boxing with giant knives. Literally, from the guy who'd said a minute ago, skill and technique rather than size and strength, he completely contradicts himself just how many sentences after? Check this one out. That's because the primary purpose of these weapons was to incapacitate rather than kill. Excuse me. The primary purpose of a sword is to kill, not to incapacitate. Of course, if you can incapacitate an enemy on the battlefield, that's good enough. But swords are designed to end. Now, if you're like me and you like surfing the internet looking for articles to read, then a good thing to do is to do it in safety, and that's why you should definitely use today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network that makes all of your internet traffic travel through an encrypted tunnel, and this way it protects you from spying, public Wi-Fi dangers, it hides your IP address, and online activities. Atlas VPN is a great choice because it was developed by cyber security specialists and, among other things, it gives you access to the Data Breach Monitor, which is a security feature designed to track any data breaches related to your online accounts, automatically scanning any leaked information. But another add-on through Atlas VPN is the fact that you can use Netflix from any country regardless of where you are. So let's say you wanted to watch a show that they only broadcast in the UK, but you were in America, no problem, just change your country through the VPN and boom, access granted. I personally always have Atlas VPN active on my machines because one account lets you use unlimited devices. I personally really like Atlas VPN not only because it's a great choice, but also because it's very affordable, and that links to today's offer for you. You can get a 3-year subscription to Atlas VPN for just $1.83 per month plus 3 months extra with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, if you were considering getting a VPN but you weren't sure about the prices, well, now it's the time. Make use of this special time offer and get Atlas VPN for a ridiculously low price, but make sure you do it quickly since this is a time-limited offer. And don't forget to click the link in the description. That's just $1.83 a month for a 3-year subscription plus 3 months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And big thanks to Atlas VPN for sponsoring my video. From the article, 5 ways you're probably picturing history wrong. They say you can learn from history, but first you have to understand it. Absolutely, please apply to yourself. And as we have told you before, we absolutely do not. Oh, good, I'm glad. Then why are you writing an article about it? For example, number 5, huge medieval battles were incredibly rare. Historical documentaries like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings have taught us that medieval warfare was a sprawling, terrifying spectacle. Of course, they're being sarcastic by saying that they are historical documentaries. Rows of mounted cavalry as far as the eye can see, ranks of men with colourful shields and pikes with an ocean of CGI armoured troops behind them. You know, like in Kingdom of Heaven.
The reality.
Now, we're not saying that this never happened. The battle you see above certainly did. We are saying that, for instance, famed conqueror Richard the Lionheart fought a whopping 3 battles in his entire Lionheart career. I already see where they're going with this. The truth is that large pitched battles went down in the history books specifically because they were so unusual. Okay, on the rare occasion when large battles did happen, only armies combated by total bozos would descend into the usual trope of 2 forces that fire a few rounds of arrows and then start hacking at each other in a chaotic free-for-all. So as usual, there is a little of truth in this, but the majority of this is an overstatement. They say, and that's the thing, the title says, incredibly rare. Does this look incredibly rare to you? So every scene in which a hero leads a courageous charge into the teeth of the enemy is actually showing that he's kind of an idiot. And medieval nobility absolutely rode and charged at the head of their knights. They did that. In fact, I have to say, I've got to respect medieval leaders, nobles and kings for that. Can you imagine a modern politician riding at the head of a marine corps into battle? You call them idiots. I actually call that respect. For the next point, if you're from Poland, click away. From the article, the 5 most ridiculous outfits ever worn into battle. If you're going into battle, you've got 2 wardrobe options. You can dress in something practical, camouflage, body armor, boring shit like that. Or you can slap on a SpongeBob costume, paint your flamethrower bright pink, and hope the enemy is too confused and or terrified to remember which end of their weapon is killed. Say what? And then point number 5 is, brace, the angel-winged Hussars. What? The Hussars were some of the most badass looking warriors and soldiers and knights in the history of mankind. How did they get into the list of the 5 most ridiculous outfits? How did this happen? How and why is my suffering and pain a form of entertainment? How did that happen? That does nothing but look awesome on the cover of the Dungeons and Dragons compendium, but that's not just a painting, that is the very real armor of the Polish winged Hussars, who held the title for the most brutal cavalry force exactly in the world, well, I don't know in the world, for most of the 16th and 17th century, but absolutely they were extremely effective and badass knights. But we know the truth. Some guy drew a pair of his trapper keeper while bored in war class one day, and every other Hussar was like, that looks rad. Goodness gracious. And then they're gonna make fun of the Aztecs, gonna make fun of the samurai. The Horned Samurai. Honda Hachiro Tadakatsu was a legendary samurai, also known as the warrior who surpasses death itself. Despite participating in many battles throughout his life, Honda never sustained even a single significant injury. And he wasn't one of those sit back in my tent and play Go while the real warriors duke it out generals. He was right there on the front lines, which would make him an idiot according to the previous article, fighting all while wearing an enormous, instantly recognizable kill me sign. How is... what? This armor was not ceremonial, oh thank the gods. Honda Tadakatsu went into battle in a helmet with a massive set of deer antlers on it. Yeah, like many other samurai actually did. The samurai were famous for their maedate being particularly elaborate. More so in the Edo period, but still even in Sengoku. If the opposing samurai army was a boss fight, Honda would be its ostentatious, bright red, blinking weak point, attack here to defeat. I don't understand why. I mean, you just said that the guy never get a singular injury, which of course means that he was capable and able in combat, but it also means that it's not as easy as hit me on my maedate or my decorations on top of my kabuto and I'm definitely gonna die. I'm also trying to understand how they picture that. First of all, most likely it was mounted, so good luck reaching that with your weapon. Secondly, even if he was fighting on foot, okay, so the guy's coming at you, you've got your whatever weapon, maybe you've got a spear, maybe you've got a sword, whatever you've got, and you manage to hit him on the top of the kabuto. One thing that he doesn't seem to understand is that the majority of these decorations on top of these helmets were not solid metal. So even if what he's thinking is, oh, he gets hit and so he gets knocked off, or something like that. Well, that's not how these worked. Otherwise, good luck with the balance of weight on top of those helmets. The majority of these were made of materials that were very light. And sure, they made you recognizable on the field, which is what not only the samurai wanted, but also medieval knights wanted to be absolutely recognized on the field for many reasons. For example, in the case of medieval nobility, if you were recognized because of the elaborate armor you were wearing, it also meant that people knew that you were worth more money kidnapped than asking for a ransom, then you would be dead. So it was some sort of life insurance actually. And although with the samurai it's not always like that, depending on who you are, yes, you could be more valuable as a prisoner, but also depending on the situation, if you're someone important and I managed to chop your head off and take it to my lord, I could get a reward. So yes, it could be dangerous, but it was something that they absolutely did. And there is a lot of layers and depth into this sort of choice, but again, it's not like he was the only one to wear an elaborate maedate or an elaborate decoration on his helmet. With that being said, this is just one of those situations where they think that they know better. Oh, he's so stupid because if it were me, I could just defeat him with one hit on those horns and he would be on the floor dead. Why would he? If that were the case, professional warriors wouldn't have done it. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this and you had fun. Will I ever make other articles? I don't know, let me know. I mean, if you enjoy them, I guess I'll put myself through this a little more. And I'd like to know what you think. Maybe we can look at something different, like what they say about ancient Rome or what they say about feudal Japan or something like that. Of course, don't forget to check out the link in the description below to take advantage of Atlas VPN's kind offer. Thank you very much for watching, number ones. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.